welcome. What is up? Welcome to This Week in the Mixer, episode 4, I believe. It's Monday after the Game of Thrones finale, and we have some thoughts on that, obviously. We also have some thoughts on the Padres and some other sports news. But let's get right into it. So the finale was last night, and leading up to it, we didn't get to do a recap last week. So I guess let's just start with last week and how Dany just destroyed the city, went full Mad Queen, lit everybody up, and did the full heel turn. And this had been foreshadowed heavily, and I think perhaps the biggest sign that Dany was gonna do this, that her character was still a little suspect, was the fact that throughout the whole series, throughout the whole course of the show, not once did any of her teammates celebrate her name day. Should have been a big red flag for any of the backers for the Khaleesi. Never saw a Grey Worm with the party hat and party poppers, nor Missandei celebrating Dany's name day. Huge red flag. Big risk for all those who had her high on their draft board to take over the Iron Throne. And when you ignore red flags like that, you get burned. In this case, literally. So a lot of people were upset about that. A lot of people got Khaleesi tattoos, named their kids Khaleesi. And yeah, I mean, she's psychotic the whole time. She always stopped just short of raining absolute hellfire on everybody, even when she had, she burned all the slave masters of Astapor when she took over the Unsullied. She crucified the slave masters or the slave owners, or the noble owners or whatever in Meereen. And there were other kind of war crimes. She flamed Sam's dad and brother, the Tarleys, kind of unnecessarily. She always had advisors like Jorah speaking against certain actions, and sometimes she was a little bit more merciful than others. She always found kind of somewhat of a compromise, at least in most situations. And then this time, she had the city won, and then she just burned it all to the ground. Which it felt like it was in character to me. A lot of problems with this season has been that they've just been super rushed, and I was okay with that. I was understanding that they were just doing the best they could to wrap it up without having all the information, because we don't know exactly what George Martin is given to them. It sounded like he gave them bullet points on some key things that should be hit, but not really a roadmap on how to get there. And so I gave the writers, producers, whatever their executive producers, whatever their title is, I was giving them some benefit of the doubt, willing to suspend my disbelief more when it looks like at the Battle of Winterfell, like all the Dothraki and all the Unsullied get wiped out, at least if not completely, down into the triple digits, and then you see them outside the Battle of King's Landing, and there's like whole legions of Unsullied still, and a fair amount of Dothraki. I do feel like the Dothraki is a little bit more believable. Maybe you only see like 500 of them in a scene at a time, which they rode over with 10,000 or something. So that's believable to me. But seeing so many Unsullied after what happened at the Battle of Winterfell, was like, all right, well, they didn't really do a good job of showing the viewers, how many people survived. But I was willing to let that go, let that ride, even through the penultimate episode, the second to last episode, and in this final episode, we get Dany looking at the Iron Throne. She's in the throne room. Jon walks in, says he's gonna talk to her. They kiss, and he stabs her. Well, it was a big surprise, and kind of poetic that he had to be the one that killed her. I just feel like they could have done something more. Like maybe that was how the second to last episode should have ended, and then the final episode should have been dealing with the fallout of that. And then I want to get to another moment I didn't like. So immediately after Jon stabs Dany, then Drogon shows up. You don't know if he's gonna eat Jon or whatever. He picks up Dany, flies off with her. A little cheesy with Drogon doing that, but whatever. These dragons are supposedly super intelligent. They just can't communicate, so I'll roll with that. But then they cut scene, and like Grey Worm is almost holding Jon hostage, which I don't know. Okay, it's fine. I don't know why Grey Worm wouldn't have just killed Jon in the first place, and we're not really given any information on that. But then they're like, and then they have Tyrion too, being held hostage, and so Grey Worm's got the two of them, and then they're just like, all right, well, who's gonna rule it? And then you get the comedic relief when Edmure stands up. And I mean, I didn't take it the way that he was trying to throw his hat in the ring to lead. I thought he was just gonna, speak to what he felt was right and then share his opinion. And then Sansa told him to sit down, which was pretty good, pretty hilarious. But then and then like Sam proposed like, well, how about a democracy? And everybody like laughs that off. And then Tyrion's just like, well, how about Bran? And they're just like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Oh, by the way, the North is gonna do its own thing. And everybody's like, all right. And like, that's it. That's how who gets to sit on the Iron Throne. Like the whole, like, I feel like the whole 8 seasons was building up to that moment where you get to just like decide who's gonna be on the Iron Throne. And then it's like that scene took less than 5 minutes, between 3 to 5 minutes, and like everybody just agreed. I mean, I guess after who's left to oppose it, you got Gendry, and like everybody's just kind of yes men at this point. They were all, none of them had any real interest in ruling the Iron Throne, or ruling Westeros, minus the North. But yeah, I don't know. I felt gypped. I felt sorry to any gypsies out there, because apparently that's a non-PC phrase nowadays. But yeah, I felt robbed, which I can say because I'm a Rob. Not get offended. I felt, I felt like there needed to be more to that scene. And then, come to find out over like listening to podcasts that the Double D's, it's Benioff and Weiss, the two creators of the show, producers, writers, whatever the fuck they're called, they had two different options. I guess after season 6, Thrones, like HBO wanted to do 3 more seasons of 10 episodes, and they had two other producers that said they would take it over and do it, and Benioff and Weiss were like, no, like, we want to finish it, and HBO said, okay, like, we'll cut you a check, like, you can do those 3 seasons, basically let them be in control of how the show was going to end, but, saying they'd finance up to 3 seasons, and they said, no, we're going to do two half seasons, basically, and wrap it up. And so you get like the kind of expedited storylines over the last two seasons, which, like I said, I understand they want to wrap it up. I understand these actors like don't want to be shooting this show, and even the producers for the rest of their lives. I mean, 10 years and the amount of work that goes into it, it's crazy. I mean, it almost seems like it's like if somebody was in charge of all of the Star Wars, the 6 Star Wars movies that are in production right now. They were in charge of all 6 of them over the course of 6, 7, 8 years or whatever. At some point you're like, God damn, like I want to be done with Star Wars. So like I get it, but it's just the show was so good, and all the build up and all these like journeys that the characters went through as they're traveling through Westeros. You get to like learn more about them, and since everything's so everything over the last 2 seasons was just played on fast forward, there's just a lot of things that felt kind of just it didn't have that same impact, that same like the characters didn't have the same motives that they did before, where you could really understand, like, even if they make shitty decisions, like Jaime going back to Cersei, it's just since they shortened the episode number by so much, you don't get him kind of contemplating, if he should stay in the north with Brienne, or if he should go, where he's always been, by Cersei's side. Instead, you get a scene where he hooks up with Brienne, and then he's in the courtyard leaving, and he's like, I'm a hateful man, Cersei's a hateful woman, like, I've always loved her, so I'm going back to her. It's like, alright, well, that was kind of abrupt, and then John's romance with Dany just felt kind of not really earned, and then in other cases when early on in the show, like when he falls in love with Ygritte, which is probably, I'd say it's my favorite relationship in the whole show. Just the way that they, like, he didn't want to have feelings for her, and she kind of, she liked him right off the bat. He did save her life, but the way their relationship went, it was so so conflicted, between her being a wildling and him being with the Night's Watch, and her knowing that he was true to the Night's Watch. It was so good, their relationship and the way the story went. These guys are capable of it. It's not just George Martin writing all that, because a lot of it they were adapting to present it on screen, and it worked so well. And so it's just a shame that like that whole Jamie, Brienne, Cersei thing couldn't have played out along that same line, because it could have been really, really amazing. So anyway, getting back to the plot of how the whole series ended. I'm okay with the outcome of everything. I'm okay with Bran being on the Iron Throne, but I just really feel like the show watchers got robbed by these producers who just wanted to wrap it up as fast as they could, when they could have handed off the show. But I mean, it's their right, it's their job, it's their careers. Fanboys are going to be pissed off at them forever. They're apparently going to do the next Star Wars trilogy, so we'll see how that goes. It's just unfortunate, because it could have been really something spectacular. It could have been. I mean, I hate to sound like hyperbolic, but it could have been looked at as like generations down the line. TV at some point is gonna go away. It's not gonna be an art form that we use for entertainment for forever. Once they have sex robots, nobody's gonna want to watch TV. But hundreds of years from now, Game of Thrones could have been held up and shown like as one of the greatest storytelling pieces of all time, and instead you just get this really rushed ending, and it's although it was still enjoyable, it's just unfortunate. I'm okay with, there was some really awesome scenes, like Jon seeing Ghost obviously was awesome. Brienne filling in Jaime's pages in the Book of All the Kingsguard was awesome. Arya going off to explore what's west of Westeros, okay. I never really saw her as like an explorer sailor type, but all right, I could roll with that. She's my favorite character. I thought it'd be more appropriate if she was like not necessarily like a Robin Hood, but like a Batman or like a Spider-Man type character, where she just kind of blends in the city and has this assassin alter ego where she enforces what she thinks is right, like Assassin's Creed, I suppose. Licensed by the Crown or licensed by Bran. That would have been cooler, but I mean, how do you explain that without, maybe that's what she does west of Westeros, or when she just realizes that Planetos is a sphere and not flat, and she ends up in Essos, the other side, the other continent where Dany originally was from. Maybe that's what she ends up doing, and just the storytelling. It's cool to see her ride off in the sunset on a ship. What else? I mentioned I'm okay with Bran being king. I'm okay with Tyrion surviving, being Hand. I'm okay with a small council. Bronn just like randomly showing up. It's just like, well, we got to do something with Bronn. All right, well, he's on the small council. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with all like the main plot points. It just feels like they got an outline and they filled in a couple bullet points, and then they just turned it in, which is, I mean, it's almost like they got senioritis, and they're like, well, we can get by on our 98% average heading into finals. So let's just turn in what we got. Even if it's a C, you know, what's the worst we're gonna get is A-. And they were cool with that. I've definitely been that guy in classes. So yeah, I get it. It's just, it just could have been that much more special, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't. Still happy with it, with the ending. Still just, I mean, super sad that it's gone. You know, I shed a few tears, probably more than well, definitely more than I would be comfortable with any of you guys seeing. And yeah, it was a hell of a ride. Hopefully George gets around to finishing the books and we can get, you know, a more in-depth conclusion, maybe more rewarding. That's what I'm hoping for at this point. So yeah, Thrones, awesome. 8, 9 fun years. It's sad it's gone, but moving on to, you know, whatever the next big TV thing is. It's sad that it's done. We'll just end it on that. And I guess just real quick, we'll talk some sports. Padres are back at 500, I believe. Not sure what they did yesterday. I was busy at Drew's wedding, delivering a, you know, I'd say above replacement level best man speech. Shouts to those who were there. T's and P's to the ones that couldn't make it or that weren't invited. You missed a good time. Good mixer gathering. Hopefully, you know, Anthony's leaving soon. Hopefully we can get together this weekend. I really like that. You know, I'd like you guys to be able to see the kid before I go back from paternity leave. It is Memorial Day weekend, so yeah, hopefully we can maybe get something going. I know Anthony was talking about going to a bar or something Saturday. But anyway, back to the pods. You know, Danny obviously doesn't watch my videos. I've been looking out for him, telling you guys to kind of curb your expectations for the pods. You know, I think they're a slightly above 500 team. You know, their run differential, I meant to mention in the last video, is for like a winning team is really bad. I think they were minus 30 or minus 60 or something, which is not a good sign. If you look at a lot, like the Dodgers are like plus 60, the Red Sox, like Blue Jays, Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals, you know, all these teams that we expect there, to Astros that are going to be in the playoffs, they're all like plus 50 or right around that range, and the Padres were in the negative, so kind of indicative that they were overachieving at the start of the season. You know, it's still a young team, so they're going to go through these slumps. Just try to look at it on a more macro level. You know, root for these young players to do well, and that should be more of the focus rather than whether or not they're winning series against the Dodgers or the Rockies. You know, those will come in the maybe next season. That's where we kind of want to be. Expecting anything more than a possible wild card contention, and by that I'm saying within 5 to 10 games come August, September. Expecting anything more than that is very optimistic. So I can't say I'm surprised, but you know, I hope they hang in there. Make things interesting. It'd be nice to watch some meaningful baseball in San Diego after the All-Star break for once. I mean, shit, even up to the All-Star break. It's been years since then. since we've had that. What else we got? We just saw that Zeke's being Zeke in Vegas. I saw Mason post something. He got in some sort of altercation. 4-game suspension, 6-game suspension. He's a repeat offender. Who knows what they're gonna do? Details still to come. Details still to come with Tyreek and his suspension looming. The best thing you can do this time of year if you're a football player is keep your name out of the headlines, and a lot of these guys can't do that. So it won't be we'll be hearing more. But yeah, I mean, we're getting closer. Early July was when training camp start, and we're at the end of May. So, about 6 weeks to go. And I've done 0 homework. So yeah, somebody else might have a chance at finishing 3rd this year, which would be great for the league. Really bad for my brand. And what else we got? Sharks did absolutely terrible. They're down 3-2 now. They got a game at home. I don't know. I think they do 1-1-1. I can't remember how the series goes, but yeah, they're down 3-2, so their backs up against the wall. They were down 3-1 in the first series against, who the fuck was it? The Knights, and they came back. So, don't want to corner a Shark. They'll lash out. So hopefully they turn it around. It looks like we're gonna have the Bucks and the Warriors in the NBA Finals. 2 teams I don't care about. I don't know anything about Milwaukee, and I know Golden State has been the favorite to win the whole thing. They're pretty unstoppable. So maybe it's an interesting series. Maybe I'll watch, but probably not. I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. I'm home. So yeah, guys, we got the prop coming up this weekend. I might delay the extra credit portion of it because it's supposed to rain all week. So I was planning on going to the park or something. I don't know if I can go to the gym and hit the treadmill and have somebody watch me on the treadmill for a mile. Maybe I will, but we'll see. I'll have information on that within the next day or two. But yeah, we have the race coming up. I mean, it's gonna be good. The Indy 500 at least. Monaco maybe not so much, but yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited. Hopefully we get to see each other, and yeah, good luck in the props. Justin shared that helpline. If any of you guys need help coping with the loss of Game of Thrones like I do, I'm always always available. My rate is probably less than that line. Maybe just Venmoing me enough for a 6-pack or something, and you can listen to my sultry voice and terrible jokes. So yeah, we'll end it on that. Catch you guys next time. Yeah, let's get it later.